So the gospel talks to us this morning about cataclysmic changes. The sun's not going to shine, the earth won't get, and the moon won't get forth its light, and stars are going to be falling all over the place. One thing that you and I have to learn to deal with is change. We have to learn how to cope with change because things change. Things change. And our gospel reading, Jesus talks to his disciples about the inevitability of change. He said, again, the stars will fall from the sky, the sun will be dark, and the moon won't shed its light. The heavenly host will be shaken. The language is vivid, poetic. It's what scripture scholars call apocalyptic, full of symbol and sign. It's meant to evoke hope, not despair. It's not meant to fill us with fear. It's meant to fill us with hope in the future, but it's not just about the end of time. It's not just about the apocalypse. Because he says, this generation will not pass away until all these things happen. Well, that generation passed away a long time ago. And many other generations have passed away since Jesus spoke those words. So it can't be about the end of time. He's talking about the change that will happen in our generation, in your lifetime and in mine. Living as we do in a rapidly changing world, how can this element of change become our friend, not our enemy? Change. For one thing, we can recognize change as a stimulant, keeping us on our toes. Our desire, of course, is to stay comfortable, take it easy, kick back, enjoy it. But then change comes along and it shakes us up, shakes us awake, keeps us on our toes. And of course, this is one of the things we don't like about it. We don't like about it. I think it must start from the womb. A little baby in his mom's womb, he's perfectly content. She's happy as can be. All the needs are taken care of. What a comfortable place to be. And then all of a sudden, something starts happening. Change takes place. And it's not pleasant. And that little child bursts into a world they had no idea what was coming, did they? I bet if they were given a choice, they'd stay right in the womb. If you and I were given that choice, we stay where we are, where we're comfortable. But that's not life. That's not what happens. Life doesn't give us that option, at least not for very long. Now, you remember, I was actually asking at the last Mass. There was a toy we had when we were growing up. It turns out, young people still know about this toy. I thought they'd have, had gone on, into antiquity. But the kaleidoscope. How many of us know what a kaleidoscope is? Okay. Well, there's some older ones. But these young teenagers, they knew what it was. It's this device you look through. It's like a tube. And it's got all these geometric forms in it. And then you kind of twist the end of it, and they all rearrange. They all go in different places. And, so it was a fun little thing that we played with as children. Well, that's the way life is. Just as soon as, we have this little geometric pattern, it's all lovely and everything, we like the way it is, some imaginary hand comes into our lives and moves a little bit, and patterns change, everything gets disrupted, and there we go again. Now, this tendency of life to change and disrupt our plans and disturb our tranquility, it's not pleasant, but it is beneficial. Yeah, it's beneficial. It keeps us from settling into a lifestyle and settling for a world that is both of which far afield from the plan and the purpose of God. Yeah, we don't like it, but it keeps us on our toes. That's what we're saying. Change can be our friend when we see it as a stimulant that will not allow us to fall asleep in a way of life that is far less than God's plan. Number two, as followers of Jesus, we take a positive attitude toward change because we call ourselves followers of Jesus. If there was anything that Jesus never was and never showed any inclination to become, it was to be a defender of the status quo. None at all. He was, in fact, the exact opposite. One day, he said to his disciples, "Do you think that I have come to establish peace on earth? I assure you, the contrary is true. I have come for division. I have come for division." Jesus was the most divisive and disturbing personality that has ever visited this planet. He challenged all the major axioms of his day upon which his society was built, and they didn't like it. They tried to silence him. They tried to discredit him. Finally, they tried to kill him, but he wouldn't stay on the cross. His life then entered that of his followers, his very spirit. And in the Acts of the Apostles that teaches us about the early church, chapter 17, verse 6, here's what the followers of Jesus had a reputation for. It said, they created a disturbance all over the place. Well, when was St. Bernard's Parish ever accused of causing a disturbance all over the place? But that's what we should be doing. We should not be satisfied with the status quo. We should be disturbing it. You and I have no right to call ourselves followers of Jesus if we content ourselves with the injustices and the inequities of our present age. Perhaps the deepest obligation a Christian has is to be maladjusted with the current age, with things as they are. As his followers, we're not only called to endure change, we're supposed to be producing change. We're supposed to be producing change. Our lives should be a living example against, a living protest against war, injustice, poverty, discrimination, oppression, exploitation of the environment and its pollution, against public morals that belittle and demean the sanctity of human life. So, Jesus recognized the urgent necessity of change, and he worked to produce it. His early disciples did the same. The deadliest thing that could happen to the church is that we become associated with the status quo, that we just blend in. No, that would be the deadliest thing that could happen to us if we lose that spirit of revolution and come and make peace with the way things are. But there's something else that's vitally important here. We need to recognize that we cannot adequately deal with change until we have a firm grip on that which is eternal, on that which never changes. Jesus gave his word to his disciples, this assurance: the heavens and the earth will pass away, but my word will not. In the midst of upheaval, in the midst of change, unrest, it's one thing that we can always count on, and that is the message of Jesus, the presence of Jesus, the truth that he both taught and lived. We can come back to it day after day, come back to it year after year. It will always be there. We'll never outgrow it. We'll never get beyond it. Faith in God will never become obsolete. The golden rule will never lose its relevance in its demands on us in human relationships. The family won't become extinct. The church will always be, it'll go through its ups and downs. It'll go through reform and renewal. It'll have good days and bad. It'll always be here because it embodies the truth that Jesus taught that is eternal. Now, it can be a very disturbing experience to live in an age and in a world that's changing as rapidly as ours. Jesus understands this, and he will not stop change. In fact, he would want us to join him in producing change, but in the midst of all of it, he has established a center of permanence. He has assured his disciples, his first disciples, as he assures us, the heavens and the earth will pass away, but my word will not.